Episode 145, Above Ground Podcast. All Out of Catastrophes?
Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Timothy Patrick and Will Foley, are by no means medical professionals. However, having lived experience with mental illness themselves, they have gained useful perspectives on common mental health issues that some of us struggle to overcome on a daily basis. By sharing their stories, they hope to create connection. By creating connection, they hope to help you find your purpose. And through purpose, we can all begin to build the foundation for positive mental health. This is Above Ground Podcast.
Are you ready to lace up your boots, throw up your horns, and jump into the pit? Then let's stomp the stigmas of mental illness. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now, Will Foley and Timothy Patrick.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Above Ground Podcast.
Above Ground Podcast, because you can't serve below.
Oh, you know who that is. That is the sweet soul stylings of Mr. TPP. What's up, buddy? How we doing?
I had nothing on that. I was just like, how can I top that?
Yeah, well, hey, no.
Doing all right. How are you?
What's up, Will?
What's up, Will? What's up, Will?
Yeah, you know. Sometimes you got to throw those zippers in there, man. You never know. What's going on, dude? Everybody, it's episode 145, man. We're slowly creeping in on 3 years, dude.
Wow.
3 years. Can you believe it?
No.
It's been 3 years almost.
Yeah, it's wild.
And we got some good shit coming up.
We do have some
And
good shit.
I will pat ourselves on the back for this one, because there's some good shit coming up, man. There really is. Like, yeah, we haven't really said much about what we've been doing, but until we had it in the can, we didn't want to talk too much about it. But in April, I believe it is, we're gonna be revamping the show. We're gonna have a brand new intro, new outro. We're gonna have some new stuff, and also we have one of the best interviews that we've said we can land. We've had some good ones, man. We've had some good ones.
We've had some good
really
ones.
good ones coming up.
Yeah.
Really good ones coming up. But I gotta say, the legend himself, Frank Shamrock.
Yep, that'll be good.
Going to be a guest on Above Ground Podcast in April, I believe it is. I think that's when we have it set. And it was an incredible conversation with him about what mental toughness and what someone goes through who observes someone living with a mental illness watches and sees. Incredible, man. He does incredible work in the community. And we were fortunate enough to meet him back in 2019 at the NAMI, New York State Education Conference. And he was really cool enough to come on and talk about mental health, man. And he was so forthcoming with everything. And yeah, super cool, man.
Good one for sure.
Yeah. So what are we talking about this week, Timmy?
Catastrophes.
Whoa, there seem to be a lot of those going on right now, and not to make light of anything, but power to everybody in Ukraine and dealing with all that stuff, man. So that's for me. Love the Ukraine to stay safe and try to stay as safe as possible during this time of war, man. But catastrophes, they're all around, man.
And all out of all when you're all out of catastrophes, what do you do? Like when you've almost like reached your limit. That's kind of what I was like looking at and like thinking about.
So if you've catastrophized too much, what happens when you've reached your limit, or what happens when you've already examined all the catastrophes and you can't examine them anymore?
Either, all. I was more on the first one that you said, like when you feel like you've had your fill of catastrophes and like you're just done, kind of like you're at your limit, I guess. You're at your limit and you can't handle any more pain or hurdles. You've reached the, whatever it is you've reached, you've reached it, and at least in your mind, you've reached that point. And like where do you go? What do you do? What do you turn to? Who do you turn to? What are your options? What are your choices?
Wow, I never really thought about it, to be honest with you. Huh.
Yeah. You know what I think kind of where I started to get the idea of what originally popped into my head was as you know, you always say this too, is that healing is like a lifelong job, and when you uncover stuff, you always uncover more stuff, and just when you think you might know some stuff, more stuff punches you in the face, and you're like, I don't know anything. So I guess when you get to that like stage where you're getting a little bit older in life, and you're like, could I even heal before I pass on?
That
was what I kind of was asking myself, but that's...
Well, it leads me to a question. Is it actually maybe where... Wow. Is it maybe that there's something else for you to find in all that? Because that's what these things do. They're meant to be shifters, earth shifters. Some of them are complete earth movers.
Good call.
You're forced to excavate the rubble of fallen buildings, literally. And I probably should change the metaphor currently, but it's true. It's like, unfortunately, you set all these layers upon layers, and all of a sudden the bottom goes out,
right.
And everything comes down, and then what happens when you get to the end of your tools and they don't seem to be working
That's
anymore?
kind of what, yeah. That's kind of where I was going with it too. It's just,
and it's that kind of came up in, like, I've kind of brought that up in conversation recently myself with my therapist and stuff about what happens when the tools don't work.
Yeah.
Or if you can't put them into practice, or you have a hard time putting them into practice. They're good for you. And that's what you should be doing. But it becomes a more of a job. And what do you do? And it's unfortunately, you have to almost, and luckily we have a little bit of knowledge that luckily Buddhism teaches us that that's the whole thing. Like, we're causing ourselves to suffer needlessly for nothing. Because and that's in that clinging to wanting it to be different and feeling like you're at another catastrophe, or feeling like you can't handle a catastrophe, that you wind up digging yourself a bigger trench, man.
Bigger than
and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're Batman and you're trying to get out of the prison, trying to swing over that wall and in the dark and become the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's it's scary. It's daunting.
I think I think you're right. I think daunting is a exceptional word for it, because it is, and sometimes you lose what you just said. Like, when you're in the midst, you tend to kind of lose track of what you said, and you lose focus on, hey, maybe this is another test, so to speak. Like, I have to go through this to, uncover more. But I don't know. I think, this conversation, I feel like is kind of loaded.
Well, I think all our conversations are to a certain degree.
So I guess maybe, as we're talking about it more, I'm thinking, like, depending on what the person is feeling, what I'm feeling in that time. Like, if I'm already kind of low and I'm starting to question this, and it's like, if everything seems to be on more of the negative side of things, it could be more weights to kind of start dragging you down further, So it's like, instead of focusing on what the catastrophes are or what's happening to you, and try to do your best to pick something positive out of it and cling to that,
Yeah, and sometimes you also got to realize that, like, we take on anchors, and those anchors at some point may be good for us. They keep us steady. They keep us from drifting out to sea. But sometimes,
in the moment, we can't see it,
Those anchors get jammed, and they get caught, and they got to be cut loose.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, you cut them too fast, or you cut too many of them, and next thing you know, you're getting pulled out with the current, and you're drifting on a sea, and there's no lighthouse.
Yeah.
You can't see the shore, man, and it's scary.
Yeah.
But it's also, if we reframe it, because after all, you're Mr. Reframer over there, reframing your house and shit, and like if we look at it differently and yeah, it's scary to be out on that ocean by yourself because shit, man, I know I'm sinking. Like it's like, but if you get that in your mind before anything even takes place, you've already sunk.
You've already started the process, and the water's coming in.
Right, and like it's very hard. It's very hard, and to change like programming. And like subconsciously you don't realize all the stuff that you've held on to or all the things that you've absorbed that you don't even realize are really there until you start to peel back more and more and more and more and more and more, and then you start to get, and then it becomes exhilarating until it exhausts the fuck out of you.
Right.
It does. It exhausts you.
Yeah.
It exhausts me.
I think that's where I was when I came up with the idea of the, and asked myself that very question.
But again, you have to know, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
That you have to pull yourself away from this. Now, I know in the wintertime it's very hard.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that outlet again, throwing your leg over the iron and going out.
Right.
You don't have that chance to blow off everything in the wind. You just don't have it. And that makes the winters very long.
Yeah.
And I know it does. And so you have to have other things. And I mean, but you also have to know that sometimes the good things can be a detriment, as we know. Everything good has an expiration date until you either take a tolerance break or you step back for a while and you change it up.
Right. No, for sure. I agree.
Because I will say this, and I've said this to you before, like I said this to my therapist recently, that I am an information junkie. I will listen to this stuff all the time, but I'll be seeking the next thing. And a lot of it just kind of hits me, and it's like, I'm like, I'm not absorbing the shots of it. I'm getting the periphery of it and I'm hearing it, but it's just more information. And I don't settle down slow enough.
And we always say too, it's like one thing to get the information, then it's another thing to apply it. I think that second stage, or whatever you want to call it, is where some people do get stuck. It's like, yeah, I know this stuff. Okay, well, you got to apply it. You got to work on applying it. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to just apply itself, right?
Right. Well, and that's the thing, though. But you also have. Oh, whoa! You also have to. A little distortion. I got too close to this.
Getting excited. Will's getting excited.
Yeah. No, I'm not actually. That's
another catastrophe.
That's another catastrophe. Another catastrophe, man. Let's not talk about that. We're not talking about anything about that. It makes it like when you don't feel like your tools are working anymore, that can come back on top of you. Like you're like, wow, I just learned all this, but I can't get to make it. Like it plays dude. It plays into your confidence.
Absolutely,
it plays into every moray and role and nonsense that we tell ourselves. But it's hard to not feel like that. And and as Tim and I are joking, Tim's looking at me and he knows because I said what I was feeling. Like I told him over the weekend how I was feeling about stuff. And there's some stuff that's really making me question myself big time lately, and it's.
Did you come up with anything when you talked with your therapist about this, similar to what we're talking about?
She actually says something that she said to me several times during our conversations recently, and that is, I need to give myself a fucking break. I need to cut myself some slack and just stop and not just let be. Just step back and let go a little bit, because she goes, I think, and even Dr. Price and I had this conversation today, as a matter of fact, about certain things, and he's like, have you thought that maybe you're just you're thinking about too much, you're trying too hard, and I said, look, I acknowledge that, okay, but that's not this,
right? It's
different because of just other stuff,
right?
So I said, no, I said, trust me, I am willing to admit if that's really
because I even mentioned that to you,
but I know it's not just because I've had interactions for months now that make it not.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like,
that's
okay,
definitely,
so that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But again, that it's scary because you're like, oh fuck, what's going on? Like that was like not something that I was gonna ask about. You know what I mean? So you realize sometimes you just gotta ask for help. You just gotta ask, and sometimes you gotta ask. And I, as good as I am an advocate, sometimes I'm not at other times. And it
for
bothers
yourself.
me. And I'm not sometimes for other people, for my own fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I should be, or as much for myself either. And it's weird because, I'm learning, and it's
that's good that you're saying that, because I think
that's an art unto itself.
Right. I think that alone, saying that and understanding it is like taking that breath and stepping back and going, I'm learning. Like, you know what I mean? I'm learning. That's it. I'm human. Like, I'm still learning this stuff. So
yeah, I don't think you ever stop learning. That's the thing.
No,
and it's,
I mean,
it's that makes it a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know. I'm like midway here. Like, I don't know where the hell.
yeah,
I'm
it could.
to.
It could for sure. I think. I guess. I think what we're both really sounds like what we're both saying is our thoughts have a lot to do with it.
Well, our thoughts always have a lot to do with
Yeah.
it. You can't, unfortunately.
No, I agree.
Separate your thoughts from that just because of how that is.
I agree. Yeah. Depending on what stage you are, how you're feeling, like where you're at on your wellness scale, I guess.
Yeah, and then and again, like, what is your wellness scale? Like, you gotta and where you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta start somewhere.
That's for sure. That's one thing that I kind of know is my wellness scale. At least I know when certain things, I'm aware of them when certain things pop up. That's when I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't realize it, but I might be slipping a little bit,
Do you notice now better when you start to slip?
Yeah, better. I shouldn't say I notice all the time, but I definitely better. Yeah.
Is it easier to handle now, or do you still struggle?
I still struggle.
Yeah,
I think
I do too.
I think whether it's a positive or a negative, I noticed it, and I tend to just kind of step back or cut. Actually, I should say cut back on some things, and just, you know what I mean. And
yeah, I'm learning that myself now as I'm stepping back from some of the things I've been doing, even though they've been very beneficial. Certain things have run their course for now, and it's time to put them down again and go about my business as the new thing happens that I'll be talking about soon. I don't want to talk too much about it right now because I don't know what it's really entailed yet, but some big changes coming in for Willie over here in the next weeks, and it's going to be really good. It'll be good for the show. It'll be good for everything going on in the world, just because it's positive stuff, but that has made me see things differently.
Yeah.
Like, it made me take a chance, but it's also put the fear of failure in there, that, I'm
which
like, am I ready? Am I
Which
am I ever going to be ready for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I ever going to be ready? No, and I am used to that, and I'm used to flying without a net oftentimes. But the problem is, though, when I fly without a net, it's kind of unfair because it's in spaces that I'm comfortable in. So
you're learning though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I'm learning. Like, that's like, even it's been acknowledged on many fronts that the change has certainly been noticeable from everybody that I come in contact with.
Cool.
So, and that's not what I wouldn't be able to tell you, because I still can't pinpoint.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because it's been such a succession that eventually, and this is the thing about self-development, when you start to wake up, and look, man, I'm not talking from a woo-woo, don't get all, look, there's important parts to that esoteric world for me, because I energy has certainly been tapping its way into me for many months now, and certain things and certain feelings and certain things are happening and things like that. But you still gotta look at it a little bit like questioningly and go, okay, is this real?
I think that's a good. I should say healthy. I think it's a healthy way to do it, because I do that with everything. I question everything. Unfortunately,
No.
I sometimes take it to the extreme, and kind of perseverate on it, I guess, and question it too much, overthink, overanalyze, that kind of thing. But I think it's healthy to question it, though. I think that's part of learning. I think it's part of uncovering things, because
Well, yeah, you don't know what you don't know,
right?
And until you uncover something, you're like, wow, okay, that makes and a lot of the things that I'm uncovering, man, some of them I've known, I just kind of ignored them, or I've like said, no, not really, no, can't be, no, not for me, no. It just silly
being in the
things.
Western culture, we all like to either physically hold something, or sometimes we need that kick in the face to go, okay, now I see it.
Yeah, I mean, but there's certain instances where it's been just too odd, so odd that it's like, how is that even possible? That you see this every time, but you're like, okay, I'm still gonna ignore it though. Like, it's just I don't know.
This is kind of separate from what we're talking about, but I feel like now I have to bring it up, because normally that stuff, like for me, I don't normally see signs or notice a lot of the things, okay, whether I'm oblivious or what. But the other day we had the anniversary of the death of a friend of ours. And on his anniversary day, Will understand this. You may not listen. The people listening may not understand what I'm talking about. But in these letters that I'm carrying, okay, they have like things that are out of town. Okay, I get a letter for Mr. Paul Cheverdoni as I'm carrying. I'm like, what are the chances of that? And it was on that day. I'm like,
yeah, what are the chances of that, dude?
I'm like, somebody wants me to reach out and say hi to Paul.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
How was he doing?
I took a picture. I took a picture of the letter and sent it to him. And
Yeah.
he's like, it was him and a couple of the guys were out in remembrance. They had they met up for lunch. And yeah. He's doing good.
That's cool,
doing
man.
Real good.
Yeah. Good.
But
I've been thinking about him too, man. I actually drove by that Stewart's that he worked at. Yeah, I've been driving by just because I'm in that side of Troy, and I stopped in when I worked at the music hall a couple weeks ago. I stopped in because I was freezing. I wanted a cup of coffee, and it was evening, and I'm like, "There's no way this guy works at night." And he
probably not.
Works during the morning.
Yeah, he makes his own schedule and does, which is great.
Which is great for him,
right?
And that's all those guys were lucky. Most of them got out at the time they got out.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I think they realized that.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
But it was just a weird, one of those weird things.
Well, I'm gonna share something that's just as weird too. So, if you listen to Above Ground Podcast, or you've heard Timmy and I talk, or if you follow us on social media and stuff, you'll see stuff pop up from all kinds of teachers. All kinds of stuff that we share, and we've talked about it on episodes of the podcast and stuff about my affinity for Wayne Dyer. Well, unfortunately, and I will send my condolences out to the Rusomano family right now. As of the recording of this, my good friend Maurizio Rusomano lost his mom this week, and we are having a service for her on Saturday, and I was asked to sing. And it was just ironic that it happened, but the song choice was kind of wasn't anything I was very familiar with, because there was a Donovan song which I'm not performing, but there was another song called "Make Me a." Oh shit!
Who was it by? Do you remember?
Hold on. I'll have to cut this part out because I'm fucking embarrassed that I can't even remember. I've been singing the fucking song for 3 days. Make me a channel of your peace.
All right, so say that now and then.
So the song is "Make Me a Channel of Your Peace." And it turns out that it is actually the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. And for our non-Catholic friends, St. Francis is a Catholic saint, and he was the leader of the Franciscan friars. That's what the Franciscan friars started from. However, the connection is that it was weird that this song was chosen, but it actually is the song that I'm singing, and it turns out that Wayne Dyer had a deep, deep connection to St. Francis and actually led tours during his living years over to Italy.
Kidding.
Over to Italy to spots that he was at, and he had a deep connection to St. Francis for some reason. And and it dawned on me last night at midnight as I'm like trying to rip through this like hymn of, like, it's an amazing song. And the thing is that when you listen to the words, it's everything about peer stuff. It's like literally about healing. It's literally about being that connection, man, to something else. And it's just,
that's what, Wayne
just
talks about a
ironic.
lot too.
Just just everything just kind of aligning all at that one time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just, not for a good situation, but I'm grateful that music meant so much to her and this song is actually her favorite song. Like, it's like one, and so to actually be able to perform it and sing, I'm actually very happy with the way it turned out, and it was like just meant to happen.
Wow, that's pretty. It's pretty amazing, actually, how that turned out.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's like, and that's the problem. Like, you get sprinkled in that amazing shit that we just talked about. Those just little connections where, like, you see somebody's name pop up on a letter and you're like, oh shit. Because
Yeah.
I started doing that. I've started to reach out to people when I see names, because I'll see, but now that I can forever say that I am no longer in the mailing business, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that as I celebrate. I'm doing a little happy dance.
You guys can't see it, but I can.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
He's right.
No golden thong, but
that's true. No golden thong, man. That's long gone. It was crusty.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to the catastrophes, I guess. That
Yeah, how can you go back to catastrophes after talking about a crusty golden thong?
I don't know.
Can't.
I don't know. I just tried.
That is a catastrophe.
It
right
is
there.
a catastrophe.
It
That's
is.
kind of probably why.
Seeing me in it is a catastrophe.
Could be.
too.
Could be. And the things that you think about after you witness something like that.
You don't want to go back out again.
Yeah, you can't. You can't go. Yeah.
No. There's no going back after that, man. You can't unsee that.
Is there something that you turn to, or you kind of a tool or whatever that you kind of go to if you feel like you're at that point of like you're at your limit? Or
I noticed that it's easier for me to go to standing meditation and do some of the aprocades. Just the movement of my body has been very beneficial over the last few months, because I started exercising again fairly regularly and stuff, or trying to anyway, when I'm comfortable and it's comfortable, and not because I don't want to not be comfortable. It just has to be comfortable for everything that's going on.
It's different on.
So it's like, so I was actually really enjoying it, and then like the other day I got to walk in the rain, and it just rained harder and harder as I was walking, but I was just like, whatever. But it was good, man. It was just like, it was just refreshing and stuff. So getting out and walking, one of the cool things, and it sucks because as we're recording this, we're supposed to get another snowstorm over the weekend, I believe.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's great. And damn, this And it's
A sexy mic.
yes, that sexy mic. It is. It's sexy, motherfucker. And I like to actually go out in my driveway and shoot baskets. Like when I'm feeling stressed out.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude. I like to go out and shoot baskets. Like I like to go out and just throw the basketball up, man, and just whether I make them or not.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. I think it's like you said, movement of the body.
It is. It's movement
You're probably
of the body.
letting out some that's a good idea.
It is. It's very like it feels very cathartic. Walking is great. Like I love walking. We went for a bike ride like on the 60-degree day last weekend. We went for a walk that day too, so it was a good day to get out.
Sure.
And then you start getting spring fever, and then you get more snow. But yeah. I do need, and I've been saying this, I need a winter sport. I need a winter hobby like cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. I
feel like snowshoeing
would be sort of fun for me, I think.
I feel like it would be. Yeah.
And, you get out in nature. Because I've really found that being out in nature helps, man. It
helps.
helps.
For sure.
Like being able to take that walk and like, especially like the day I was in the crossings walking, it was just perfect. And I was just in the right frame of mind and right head space and no headphones. Just like, it was just me.
Taking it all in.
I had to. I had no choice.
I think I think that's a good thing, though. I think that this is just my opinion, but everybody has the headphones in now or the earbuds or whatever, and it's like it's almost like a distraction it's like a 24/7 that you can take with you wherever you go, and it's like you don't. So I almost feel like if you're doing that at like a young age and you continue to do it, you're almost like you're losing some resiliency because you're dependent on these things.
Yeah, I get it. I've been trying to figure out why. I've been trying to figure out if it's just and I've actually been asking myself, have I always surrounded myself with so much music because I'm afraid of what silence is? And I'm actually okay with silence now. Like I'm a lot better with it. And it's been years now that we've been living in this house, and years since I slept with a radio on, which I used to sleep with the radio on every night.
Did you?
Yeah, even when I lived, even before we moved in together, when I lived in my own apartment, I slept with the stereo on all night. It was on. And I know if I lived by myself again in life, it would be on again, just because it would just be.
No, I like silence and darkness for sure.
I love darkness.
Yeah,
I really do love darkness. I do. The darker it is, the better.
Yeah, that's how I am.
I'm very comfortable in the dark.
Yeah.
But,
well, we're used to that maneuvering around in the darkness, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I don't know. I never even thought of it. I'd see certain things like that. I don't really. Maybe I should, but I don't question. It's like I just do. I don't know.
I love the dark.
Yeah.
I love the dark.
Yeah.
I do.
Maybe because that's what I said. Maybe because that's what we're kind of used to. We're kind of comfortable in that,
Yeah, it's easy to be. It's easy to be in that.
Which I don't know if it's necessarily a negative thing, right? I mean, as long as you don't let it consume you.
Yeah, I don't think it's always a negative thing. I think it can be a negative thing. But anything, again, can be positive or negative. That's the yin and yang of it. You can, there's people who can do all kinds of stuff like once in a while and not ever have any urge to do it outside of like once a year or something, no matter what it is. And then there's other people who fall into that addictive pattern of needing it after they get something good and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I feel like in those circumstances, in those situations, I should say, in those situations, there's something missing within that individual.
Yeah. And I struggle with that myself.
Oh, look I do too. I'm not pointing the finger. I'm just saying, like, I try to look deep within and figure it out, and then Sometimes it's just, whether I figure it out or not, I might be able to pinpoint some things, but then to take it the step further and try to heal or improve it is a whole nother can of worms.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a different can of worms, but and again, though, you can't always, but it's hard because you have to try to look at everything with the opposite of how you got yourself into it. Because again, you can't look at yourself like you can't do it the same way, and that makes it even harder for people to move on and move things, because it's like you can't quite get by that thing. But the point is, though, is that you know what, you step back, the rock ain't moving, clean your hands off, man, get yourself something, snack on, come back when you got a little bit more strength, man, and come back and try to push it out of the way again. And then every time you come back, you feel like a little stronger, you look a little better in your t-shirt, and I think resiliency.
But I think looking at it with like almost like a new set of eyes too. While you step away from it and you come back to it, and you're like, you might see, what I mean, like I said, you might look at it in a different light.
Sure,
it might look different at that point.
And shit, after a couple of days, man, the rain may have come and washed some of the ground away, and next thing you know, that thing's loosened up enough for you to move it, and shit, you just pushed it out of the way, and then it's on to the next one, because that's the thing, and that's the thing. Like we're either baseline on one side or the other of that. It's adversity either coming up or adversity but just coming out. It's just and we're in the middle somewhere. And you have to expect that.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you can't, when you start to expect it, that you can't automatically look at it with that whiplash, reactive, cynical, idea that got you there. And that's hard.
That is hard.
Because it's such an ingrained process in your own head that you've been looking at this particular thing that same way for so long that, how do you do?
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
But you come back and try to move the rock again, man.
You just keep at it. I get it.
Keep at it.
Another day, another foot closer,
Well, it is, and you can be another foot closer on your own, or you can be another foot closer in process. And I think that's the thing. You got to stay in process. And that may be my new thing. I may have just come up with my own new insight about in process, because in reality, if you're not in process, you're sort of in degradation, really. So technically, you're either going to let life take you, or you're going to take life. Right? So it's really, those are really the only, that's it. So in process is letting life take life, where you're not taking life. And those are really, like, at a certain point, those are really the only two. That's in reality, that's really all it is do you find something to stay alive for, or do you find something that you don't want to, that you just choose not to stay alive?
There you go, folks.
Yeah, and I'm not trying, like,
I get it.
I'm not minimizing anything.
You
get to a certain point, and I think that's what happens when you've lived through calamity and catastrophe and all those, things. But you got to open up that catastrophe with some curiosity and figure out, like, is it a catastrophe? Or is it just me catastrophizing? Am I vocalizing and socializing and spiritualizing, and am I taking part in my own fucking unraveling?
There you go. That's it. That's the question to ask yourself. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Am I taking part in my own unraveling?
Am I taking part in your own? Yeah, that's...
Now, but if you are, what are you unraveling? Are you unraveling yourself? Or are you unraveling your soul? And I think that's the, I think that's the conundrum that we all face. How do we get to soul work when it's
We have no soul.
or we can't find it.
Well, another week, another episode.
And more thoughts to ponder.
More thoughts to ponder. Until next week.
Hey, be well.
Be safe.
Be
above.